I'll go get a tree.
4 weeks, 4 weeks.
I figure it's a short time between Thanksgiving.
It is, yeah. We'll get ours this weekend.
I'll go get a tree.
We all set? Great. Welcome, everybody, to the Tuesday, November 25th, 2025, Rush Planning Board meeting. The only thing I'd ask is if anybody's going to be making comments or addressing the board, could you please come to the microphone so that everybody can hear you? All right, Marjorie, you want to take roll, please?
Member Moise?
Here.
Deputy Chairman Ast?
Here.
Member Wolcott?
Here.
Member Wisnowski? And Chairperson Brown.
Here. All right. Any comments on the minutes?
Nope.
No.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I'll second that.
All right. Member Moise?
Aye.
Deputy Chairman Ast?
Aye.
Member Wolcott?
Aye.
Member Wisnowski?
Aye.
And Chairperson Brown.
Aye. All right. First on our list today is public hearing 2025-12P Land Tech for Glen Stacy Site Plan Application 85 Perry Hill Road, tax map number 21203-1-1.35. Marjorie, can you read the public hearing notification, please?
Yes. Notice is hereby given that pursuant to the provisions of the Town of Rush and 274A and 274B of the town law, a public hearing will be held by the planning board of the Town of Rush at the Rush Town Hall, 5977 East Henrietta Road, Rush, New York, on November 25th, 2025 at 7 p.m. to hear all persons interested in the following applications. Application number 2025-12P, Land Tech representing Glen Stacy for a site plan application to build a single-family home on his property. The parcel is located at 85 Perry Hill Road, Rush, New York, with a tax parcel ID number of 212.03-1-1.35 and is zoned residential.
Thank you. And do we have a representative for Perry Hill?
Yep. So my name is Tom Sutherland, here with Land Tech, representing my client Glen Stacy. To give some background to this project, this was previously approved in 2020 for a 7-lot subdivision, with lot 3 now being built. We were asked to do a full site plan review by the planning board due to some changes in the house footprint, driveway location, the finished floor elevation, and surrounding grades. So this project, or this site, is 1.37 acres. It's roughly 1,000 feet down Perry Hill Road, and it's currently vacant. We're proposing a 2,500 square foot house with a private leach field. Driveway and public utilities such as water and electric will connect at Perry Hill Road. We have been working with Monroe County Water Authority and Monroe County Health Department to keep up with their specs. Water Authority said that this is an existing service to be reused. They do not need to review the plans. And the health department is 90% ready to sign on plans. They just, they have no problem with the design. They just want to see some more details on this plan itself. And I have received engineering comments today, and I've addressed those. I have an updated plan. I'm ready to answer any questions that you guys might have. We are seeking preliminary and final approval tonight. The client is pretty eager to start building.
Okay. Questions from the board?
No.
Ronald?
The only thing I had, just looking to make sure it wasn't. There is a house next door to the east, correct?
Yes, that's lot 3.
It's not shown on the plan, correct?
No, not on this plan.
It should be.
Okay.
No, that's the only comment I had.
Okay. All right,
Is the electric utility gonna be underground or?
Underground, yeah.
So next to the water line,
Sorry.
next to the water line?
Yes, yeah, we don't normally show electric and gas on our plans, RG&E, they like to. Put them where they want it. Usually we just have the water shown on the plan for single lots especially.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, good. I think what we'll do is just so that we can go through the engineer's comments real quick. Brennan, is that all right?
Yeah, we had 10 comments, and it's not that he got a little of them, maybe late those, but anyways. I go down through them. Basically, we discussed that it was significantly different, or substantially different than the previous approved subdivision, so that's why we asked for a site plan review process to be done. And so the couple comments, one of them being, or I'll start at the top, this talks about this being substantially different. Second one, we just said the plan should be labeled amended site plan for lot 4 of Perry Hill. So there's already one submitted. This is an amended version. Third comment, we asked that they reference the originally approved subdivision plans because they're using some of the details off of those plans for septic systems and other parts of the site. So should provide an adequate reference to those so they know what to follow when they're doing construction and we know what to follow through inspection, right?
Yep.
So we asked that the provide a driveway pavement section where it's going to be paved. Driveway needs to be paved in the right of way. Interagency coordination with the Water Authority, Department of Public Health. He's already mentioned that. That sounds like they're well on the way to get both done. They've identified the flood hazard area with the base flood elevation. There's no disturbance in the floodplain, so there's no permit or special flood features that need to be adopted for this application. We asked that they clearly delineate the limits of disturbance be outside the flood area on the plans. We did note that they note the plans state 3.5 acres of disturbance total. I'm gonna guess that for the overall subdivision total.
Right.
We asked that they would be required to have a New York State DEC speedy permit for that E8 NOI or NOI, whatever it was, be submitted and a speedy permit for number be provided. Also dedicated area for the concrete washout.
I have revised the plan based on these comments. And I have a letter, I don't know if you've seen this letter yet.
No, yeah.
I addressed it.
That's correct. So we can review the revised plans and look in the response letter as a condition of approval.
I didn't see any substantial changes to the plan.
Okay, so we were good with the change in floor elevation,
Yes.
do the compared to what the original was, right? Very good. So you're all set, Brennan. Now I have, we get a letter from the Monroe County Department of Planning and Development.
Yep.
Some of this is somewhat boilerplate on
That's correct.
on the front side, so it's just, I'll just kind of generalize those and then go through the rest of the letter. You're encouraged to work with the other county departments, which you are, according to the flood boundary and floodway map published by Federal Emergency Management Agency. The site may be located within the federal flood insurance program. You've already identified the limits of the floodplain in that area, and you're not impeding the floodplain. Article 25A of the New York State Ag and Markets titled Agricultural Districts provides counties with the opportunity to create agricultural districts. It's just generally saying about working in and around the ag areas. Development of this property should be designed so it doesn't alter existing drainage facilities adjacent to other parcels. Monroe County Department of Health, you're already contacted them,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
Monroe County Department of Transportation, so that's not needed. Monroe County Department of Environmental Services, Pure Water is, there's no review needed by them, and neither is there a review by New York State DOT. So basically, it's just finish up with the Department of Health.
Yep.
We have our Town of Rush Conservation Board that meets and reviews the applications. So these are their comments regarding the application. Their comments are clarification and corrections needed regarding wetlands. Was that because we denoted?
So we discussed on the checklist that was on the application form, is there wetlands or water courses?
Right.
present? And I said, there's a floodway associated with the creek that's near the site. So that technically means there's a water course on the site. Floodway's part.
Right.
So, I don't think, I think we
I-
just clarified that.
Yeah, I corrected that.
Okay,
I marked no when it should have been yes.
okay.
So
That's-
that was
that-
corrected and sent.
That's, it's a common thing that happens within our. The applicant should show a mitigation plan regarding the wetlands and floodplains. There is none because you're not.
Yep.
Right. We have concerns that the septic system is in close proximity to the wetlands and floodplain. You're within,
We are not inside of the, I mean, it's not against any code. We're not gonna be affecting the wetlands.
okay, you're outside the buffers.
Yes, we are outside.
Some mineral count. Yes.
Right. Right.
Park test, there's no groundwater. Yeah. Let's see. Just to clarify, the EAF was already approved in the last submission, or we reviewed it. There's no changes to it, and it still applies. Okay. Thank you.
All right, are there comments from anyone attending? I don't think we have any.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kelsey. I'm a resident on Middle Road. The comments that I wanted to bring to the board today are sort of broadly applicable to the plans being discussed both tonight and in the future as well. So I hope it's okay that I just sort of speak in one session on them. As evidenced by the floodplains, the wetlands, the marshes that we have in the town of Rush, we seem to be a very sensitive area when it comes to stormwater drainage. In the last 15 years, we've had at least 3 major floods. Many of the existing stormwater drain systems have been in place for 50 to 100 years with very little modification or change in that period of time. As development plans come through this board, I just wanted to emphasize tonight the need for the proper evaluation of these stormwater systems that are in place and potentially proposed to be used by upcoming plans. Recently just watching on the YouTube live stream and such, I've seen some plans that are made to propose the use of existing roadside drainage ditches, existing wetlands, for example, as sort of their outlet for any stormwater from these new developments. As the existing structures, have been in place for many, many years, I'm curious, has the capacity of those ever been evaluated? Have we ever assessed them to determine if in the current state, their capacity is already sort of at a maximum, or are they being overburdened? Neighbors nearby these developments, whether they're large or small developments, one house or entire neighborhood, they're at risk for potential impacts by changes to the floodwater volumes, or I should say stormwater volumes, or their velocity if there's more water being channeled in their direction. The reason I wanted to speak on this tonight is because I am personally a resident in the town of Rush who's experiencing issues related to this, where developments that are, upstream, so to speak, of my residence alongside 5 other neighbors of mine are being impacted by increased water volumes from systems that are outdated and have had more water volume channeled toward them through new developments being made and really no changes being made to some of those existing systems. So just wanted to say that it's critical to not only help the people that are here that want to develop their land, but also to protect existing landowners in the surrounding area, especially when it comes to these long-term impacts from poorly structured or poorly designed stormwater management over the long term. I appreciate the time tonight. Thank you.
Could I have your last name again?
Zook. Yeah, it's written as well.
Okay.
Yeah, Kelsey Zook. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so, I definitely understand the concern. With this more regulation, such as the SWIP. The New York State wetlands and their new 100-foot buffers, we've definitely taken this in consideration, especially on bigger jobs. Now, on a job like this, we are following design. We have the swales, on the property. But that seems like a much larger issue than just this specific job. There's very minimal impact on this job specifically. If it is just a single lot.
It grades from road.
Yeah. It does go into the road.
So
path as well.
everything that driveway, house goes to the
Yeah.
swales and back.
And I definitely, I mean, that is a problem. On this job, there's not much we can do. Let's say on a bigger job, obviously we'd add bioswales or drainage ponds. But on one lot, there's not much that we do as a owner, as a builder standpoint. I believe that's just a larger town issue, whether it's we need more swales or future bigger subdivisions need more drainage reports and whatnot.
Well, usually when you do larger subdivisions or development areas, drainages, you're encumbering a much larger area, so you are taking into account that.
Yeah, this is definitely taking account into the design in the initial 7-lot subdivision. I mean, it's a very large site. So
Is discussed the state as a statewide standard for development, right? You serve over an acre. Or over 5 acres, whatever the threshold is for that particular project. You're required to do stormwater mitigation, which is either a detention facility or pond or whatnot. You know, that the zoning code does not have provisions for individual single family house or single family residential developments, particularly underneath the state mandates. So they don't have, like, say, you have a house, you're gonna design a site plan for a house, you don't have to put anything special dry wells or anything like that for that particular house. They just follow along with the state DEC requirements. You know, that could be a zoning ordinance discussion if that's something that the town wants to push forward with. And the individual basis.
Yeah, a single family home, it increases the impervious area by typically the driveway of the house.
Right.
It's typically not a significant amount that for runoff over the grassy areas.
Yep.
So that's usually not a significant issue. With larger developments, bigger parking lots, now you're
Exactly.
and
Yep.
just, you know, landowners are you know, especially larger developments, you cannot increase the runoff off your property
Right.
to the existing storm swales along the roadway. That's something that is part of the
Yeah.
review process.
we should typically decrease runoff off the property. And at least we try to in our design.
Well, and I think a bigger thing too is a lot of times when they're developing and we have disturbed areas, the problems come in when it's not, you've opened up a lot of areas and you have runoff off of property that is open ground as opposed to being graded grass growing. So, I mean, those are things we need to make sure that in the soil and erosion control plans that they're put in place, because the soil and erosion control will help capture
Yep.
that water before it runs off.
That's why we have a speedies permit, and we do SWIP inspections on
Right.
projects over 5 acres.
Right, any other comments? All right. At this point, I can close the public hearing. And I have a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All right, Member Boyce,
Aye.
Deputy Chairman Hess,
Aye.
Member Wilcox,
Aye.
Member Wisnowski,
Aye.
Chairperson Brown.
Aye. All right. At this point, what we'll do with this application now, we can adjust our conditions in the resolution.
I think the only other condition is
Yeah.
the one that Carl raised to revise the plan to reference the structure, any improvements on the neighboring property should be reflected on that.
And I think just because Brennan hasn't fully finished written a response back on the engineer's comments, that we have the condition that it meets the engineer. Oh, that's a standard
I
one.
was just talking about the ones in addition to.
Right. Now I was organized, where's my resolution? You know, I try, oh, it's upside down, that's why. It's so hard.
I bet if you don't have it.
No, I got it, okay,
That's the right one.
huh?
That's the right one.
Yes, it is. Okay, I'm gonna read down through the resolution now. Resolution for site plan approval, whereas the planning board of the town of Rush, the planning board has examined the application 2025-12P Perry Hill Estates Lot 4 for site plan approval submitted by Land Tech Surveying and Planning PLLC on behalf of Glenn and Ann Stacy, the applicant, the owner of the parcel of real property located at 85 Perry Hill Road, Rush 14543, tax map number 212.03-1-1.35, the property. And whereas the planning board has examined the application maps and other materials filed with the application, including the current site plan, environmental plans and reports, comments and reports from the town professional staff, the public and other interested and involved agencies associated with the application, including Monroe County Planning and Development. And whereas a public hearing on the application was held on November 25th, thank you.
Got my days wrong.
25th, 2025, and notice was posted as required by law. And whereas all persons at the hearing desiring to speak on the matter were heard, all correspondence on the matter was read, and all comments and statements that were received during the public hearing and or at other duly held meetings of the planning board were considered by the planning board. And now therefore be it resolved that the planning board has determined that it is the most appropriate agency for making the determination of significance thereof under seeker, and is therefore the appropriate lead agency to conduct an environmental review of the action. The planning board determines that this is a type 2 action under seeker requiring no further action or a determination of significance by the planning board, and it is further. Can I just stop there 1 minute?
Sure.
So because the site plan fell under a subdivision, do we have to refer to that?
I mean, we can refer back to the original one and incorporate that in just so that we've got those comments as well. So I can make that. I can make a separate whereas paragraph reference in the original seeker determination as well. Those comments have been incorporated and ratified herein.
Because that's the one where, because that's what the Speedies was under that application.
Correct, for the subdivision, this is specific to the site, but we can still reference piggyback.
Okay. Sorry.
No problem.
It is further resolved that upon consideration by the planning board of the factors set forth under Section 120-69B of the town zoning law, the planning board grants final approval of the proposed site plan for the location of a single-family residence on the property, subject to the following conditions. No work is to commence until the applicant obtains a building permit from the town of Rush. The applicant must meet all applicable town building, construction, and fire prevention requirements. The applicant shall obtain all other necessary local, state, and federal permits and approvals required for the project. The applicant shall meet the requirements of the town engineer as indicated in the town engineer's letter dated November 17th, 2025. The applicant shall meet all requirements of the Monroe County Planning and Development as indicated in the department's letter October 29th, 2025, and
The applicant shall revise the site plan and incorporate location of improvements on the neighboring properties.
okay,
It should say the site plan, not just the site plan, sorry.
right.
And were there any other conditions? I didn't hear any, but I think that mainly it was the engineering comments, make sure we incorporate all those which are referenced, but.
Yep. All right.
So Mark, you're satisfied with everything in the letter?
All right, I have a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as read.
I'll second that.
Okay, Member Moise?
Aye.
Deputy Chairman Ask?
Aye.
Member Wolcott?
Aye.
And Member Wisniewski?
Aye.
Chairperson.
Aye,
Thank you very
thank
much.
you. Thank you for addressing those two.
Thank you guys. Have a good rest of your night.
Yep,
Thank you.
thank you. All right. Next, we. Oh,
One, six, seven.
yeah. I know. Give me your agenda for a second. Next, we have public hearing 2025 13P McMahon LaRue for Steve Bailey site plan and lot line alteration application 2670 Rush Menden Road, tax map number 213.01-1-15.3. Marjorie, will you read the
Notice is
public
here-
hearing notice? Thank
Yeah.
you.
Notice is hereby given that pursuant to the provisions of the town of Rush and 274A and 274B of the town law, a public hearing will be held by the planning board of the town of Rush at the Rush Town Hall, 5977 East Henrietta Road, Rush, New York, on November 25th, 2025 at 7 p.m. to hear all persons interested in the following applications. Application number 2025-13P McMahon LaRue representing Steve Bailey for a site plan application to build a single family home on his property and to create lot line adjustments to the property surrounding. The parcel is located at 2670 Rush Menden Road, Rush, New York, with a tax parcel ID number 213-01-1-15.3 and is zoned residential.
Good evening. My name is Brian White from McMahon LaRue Associates. I'm here tonight with the applicant, Steve Bailey. As Marjorie had mentioned, we're proposing a lot line adjustment on a former 3-lot subdivision located along Rush Menden Road, approximately 600 feet west of Rush Menden Town Line Road. The current property as it sits today is lot 2 of a previous subdivision approved last year in October. We are proposing to shift some of the internal lot lines on the property. Our current parcel that we're looking to develop for a single family home is going to be known as lot R2. Comprises approximately 2.3 acres. We have submitted this application to other involved agencies. We're working with the state DOT for an entrance permit, Water Authority, the Health Department, and then the Monroe County Development Review Committee. Currently, the property, and the dwelling sit approximately 370 feet, off of Rushmenden Road. We're proposing that along the driveway, that runs with the topography, avoiding some of the tree removal on the lot. So this is gonna go along the easterly side of the lot line towards a 3-bedroom, single-family dwelling with approximately 2,300 square feet. Stormwater runs from the middle of the property, about half the parcel flows northwest. We're proposing to maintain the same drainage conveyance for that. The remainder of the parcel flows towards Rushmenden Road. We'll begin maintaining the existing runoff conditions for the property. We do have our septic system located at the northwest corner of the parcel. We did get good perk results in Depot. We had a witness test with the county health department for that. And again, they're working to finalize their comments now. We did discuss briefly before the meeting tonight. We haven't formally reviewed the town engineering comments to this point. But it's my understanding, I think that we can address most of those without any shift to the driveway or house location. Be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
I guess the one thing we were talking about is just the driveway itself and the proximity to the adjacent property line. And then, you know,
Which the house is not shown next door.
We gladly add excellent plan. I spoke with Steve before the meeting started. We're happy to show screening trees along that line, the block headlights and any disturbance to the neighbor there. So we'd be happy to add that as a condition of approval.
On whose property?
It would be on our property.
In the middle of the swale?
We would have it before the curve. We could bump the driveway. We're trying to save the tree on the elbow of the driveway there.
Finish up.
well, that's one of my thoughts. Sorry.
Because I have more, I could add to that.
Okay.
Line. So in our code, under section 100-6 B10, profiles of proposed driveways with a grade greater than 5% should be shown.
Okay.
Do you have a grade greater than 5%?
I believe we have near the entrance area, just a minor portion of that that's greater than.
I was measuring about 1 foot difference. It's over 16 feet, which is a 6.25%.
Understood. We can add that profile.
Okay.
The driveway location was selected to minimize their disturbance. Topography. We had originally reviewed having more centralized driveway location, but that would be removal of most of the trees on the property and significant earthwork, much more than what's proposed here.
It was difficult to see, but it almost looks like your grading lines cross the property line.
They don't cross, but they go right up to the lot line, and
Yeah.
we have staked out that lot line, so the neighbor and our applicant understand where that falls. It's actually, the lot line falls in a lawn area.
Okay. And as far as I don't know if Brendan addressed it, but as far as the swale grade, are you keeping check dams in permanently, or they're only temporary?
They would be intended for temporary stabilization.
Okay.
Removed when
Because at the bottom on the left or the west side, it almost looks like it just dumps into the neighboring property rather than it really doesn't show a course down to the swale. So it kind of looks a little messy there.
Yeah, there was the intent to funnel that through to the ditch of Rushmenden Road where the existing culverts are, the neighbors' property and then ours as well.
Okay. And the other thing I noticed is that the grade from the neighboring property to the east, you also have runoff on that area. So I'm just, have you looked at the amount and speed of runoff for that swale, those swales?
Our engineers have reviewed that and they didn't have any concerns.
Okay. So it's just gonna be grassy. There's no paved, it's just grass, swales.
Correct.
So as part of the profile, you probably wanna, it'd be nice to see also the, we would assume that the swales would follow the same grade as the driveway center line.
Correct, so it's a slight depression each side.
All right, so the only thing, the other concern, you say right up to the property line. How do you guarantee that you're not going to encroach?
We staked out the property line several weeks ago. We have pins at the corners as well as along the line, in particular in that area.
Okay, and the neighbor has seen this plan?
We haven't personally delivered that, but okay.
I've given some list.
Okay,
And I'm fine.
okay, I guess. So it's amenable and,
Oh, yeah, I mean, we've been in contact to adjust the boundary lines together, you know, if he wanted to see, and we give and take. So, he's happy with that, and, he's been engaged with trust us all the way along.
okay. Good to hear. Thank you.
His name's Ray Cruz.
What's that?
His name is Ray Cruz.
Oh, that's to the west, without the property to the east.
Yeah, well, we talked to him primarily because he misread his survey markings of the property, so there was a significant amount of personal items. So to speak. in the-
Boats and stuff like that.
Regulars, lots of stuff, but you know, we've talked about it. I mean, he's the lot, so it's just for the. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's-
Sorry, I'm bad.
No, you're fine. We were a little bit slow on drawing.
Yeah, so we're working together with him to get things cleaned up and make sure that the lot lines are, you know, where they should be, and his stuff is where it should be, and we talked about keeping the trees along the lot line for both our privacies, and if we need to add, you know, some evergreens or whatever to protect the headlight thing, we certainly can do that.
Okay,
I think it's happy to.
Well, more plantings also help with the drainage also. Stabilizing the soil, because there's gonna be a fair amount of soil disturbed to put in the driveway there.
Yeah, we've looked to minimize that. We try and follow the existing profile as it is today. And in sight of protecting those trees. The bend there was strategic to protect the tree on the inside of that curve.
And then you have a fair amount of fill you're bringing in.
Actually, the site balances, there wouldn't be any fill brought in or exported short of construction materials.
Okay,
But we do have fill towards the rear portion of the house. That was selected that's intentional to place the house there. So we have cut on the side of the garage on the uphill portion and then fill on the low portion of the site. But there wouldn't be any additional soil required to construct this.
all right. Comments?
I. Goes back to the grading here, when you grade the swale down both sides of the driveway and at the grade that it's at. It's funneling a lot of water either side of the driveway down to the bottom where it's gonna hit Rush Mendon Road. And I think at least during the construction, if I were building it, I would put some sort of a retention area at either side of the driveway, even if it's temporary stone, something, because during this construction process, the water is just gonna run down the side of the ditch and it's gonna be out on Mendon Road. It's gonna, I would think, it's gonna, in my 45 years experience, it could be a real problem, when you start stripping that and you start, before it gets all restored and grass is growing, and even at that point, when you get these 2 or 3 inch rainfalls, now you're funneling it. And at that kind of grade, you need to slow it down before it hits that ditch.
We could look at a temporary settlement basin, something similar for that.
Yeah, if not permanent, at least during the construction, because I think it's gonna be an issue, but I've been on this property prior to all of this, but.
Okay. Yeah.
Pretty good grade down
That shouldn't be a
there.
problem at all.
Just my comment.
Okay, why don't we go down through, oh, okay.
Um, just a kind of a strange note here, but your septic tank is sideways.
I think you have the original plan set.
Okay, you changed that?
Yeah, we've addressed all the septic comments with the health. Those have been accounted for.
Okay, so the septic tank is in the same location?
We've moved it ever so slightly a little bit closer to the house, but still maintaining the setback requirements through the county health department.
Okay, yeah, just you're in a steeper slope originally, so.
Understood.
Okay, so the health department, they're all good with the design, no drop boxes.
Yeah, we've addressed their comments up to this point. There's a couple additional comments that follow approval resolution that we're working with them actively on. But any design changes have been updated, and it doesn't change the location of the septic system.
Okay.
Anything of significant nature.
So the grading stays as shown here, that didn't change.
We're gonna add in a very minor diversion swale along the north side of the septic system. But functionally, as you see, the grading direction and runoff direction same.
And that's the slope on the behind the house, is that 1-on-3?
That is a 1-on-3, correct? It's a tight fit between the septic system and the house. I recognize that, but to accommodate, Steve's vision and the county health department requirements, it works.
The engineering shoehorn, yeah. All right, thank you.
Well,
Let's check. The only other thing I had, and you'll need a transformer, right? Electric.
yeah, our genie will work directly with Steve. Physician for those.
Okay.
We don't typically select their locations.
Okay. You're probably gonna get power from that pole there.
Yep, there's a pole right
So
here.
we have to cross the driveway with your conduit.
More than likely, yeah.
Okay.
That would be probably the practical location.
One last comment on the EAF, number 5 on page 1 is just checked as residential rural, but there's quite a bit of agriculture behind the house, so I would check that box too.
Okay. No problem.
Okay.
All set?
Oh,
Right. And you don't have your permit yet from DOT?
We don't, we've applied for it, with the application, but it's fine. We're hoping to have everything, finalized around the same time.
All right. Right. Now you can go down through your list.
So yeah, we reviewed the plans from McMahon LaRue. The subdivision map dated September 19th, and then the site plans dated October 2025. By the way, please add a vision page. When you make a change, but anyway, so some of this has been answered, but I'll go down through it anyways. The existing septic system was shown on the plans for R3, which is the existing lot, the existing house on it. Thank you. We just acknowledge that the applicant has an agreement with all the property owners to make the lot line adjustments. Now it's not under the town's purview, but it would be good that they all agree before we approve this. The subdivision plat is designed by a licensed surveyor. I think you understand that. I do mention the grading and driveway setback on the east side. There's gotta be either have some type of agreement with the neighbor that you can grade over the line, because we never the contours don't always get followed exactly. Or stake the property line, install a construction fence, prior to starting anything, because we want to keep good neighbors, right? Or alternatively, driveway could be shifted off the property line. Provide a little bit more of a buffer there for grading, so. We do have the standards, you gotta work with the Monroe County Water Authority, Monroe County Department of Health. Health, should I say, DOT, their state DOT for their permits. We do notice we want to verify with Monroe County Water Authority, that there's enough pressure to serve this house. Being that it's so much higher than the road, if they have a low pressure zone there, they might have issues with the water pressure. So they need to work with the water authority to verify that. Coordinate with New York State DOT about the new entrance. They've shown the tapers on the plans. Sometimes the DOT doesn't like tapers to cross the line as it protrudes to the center of the highway from the right of way. So if this, you were to extrapolate the property line to the center of the highway, the taper does cross it. So generally the DOT says we want your taper to be on your front of your property and vice versa. So make sure that the DOT is okay with that. And going back to the drainage, the DOT is going to want to review your drainage. They typically won't accept any more water on the DOT right away than what is there now. So again, continue to coordinate. The DOT driveway should be paved in the right of way. That should be noted on the plans. There does appear to be some grading changes that may need to be added around that entrance to control water. I think you have an extra contour line there that shows a belly and swale. So maybe you can further clarify that grading.
Sure.
Add signature lines to the drawings for town engineer and the fire marshal. You are over an acre disturbance, so you will require a New York State DEC speedies permit. And file an NOI with the DEC. We do note that we would like to make sure that they're in compliance with the fire code, New York State Fire Code, and also the fire marshal, his requirements. They are over 600 feet from a hydrant. And typically the fire departments will stipulate how much hose is available on a truck to connect to a fire hydrant, or as general provisions for using a bumper truck or water truck for this fire at this property. So all that, it needs to be reviewed with the fire marshal, or possibly a sprinkler system should be put in the building, into the house. That all needs to be clarified with the New York State Fire Code as well as the fire marshal requirements. So I would ask that he reviews that before he signs the plans. The site distances have been added to the plans. Thank you. We've asked that they had to provide a cross section for the proposed driveway, showing materials and specify the materials on the plans. Their details on the detail sheet shows an infiltration trench. I think this is just a general typo. They're trying to detail out the curtain drains, so maybe that's just a clarification on the plans. We do note that there's some drainage going to the septic system as planned. That you mentioned that he's gonna add a diversion swale to the north side of the septic. Maybe even review the south side of the septic. And review that with the health department. We do mention that possibly adding tree protection details and noting that on site plans, what trees are going to be protected, which these trees are going to be removed. That 22-inch tree on the inside radius of that driveway is very close to the driveway. It probably conserve a lot of roots, so that's not a comment. Holding that the original. There is 5 to 10 feet of fill being placed in ground in the house. I didn't know if it was under or not. They had a basement, so I do know 5 to 10 feet is quite a bit of fill. Just want to make sure that that's placed right and impacted accordingly, and it's a proper material. Because it will cause problems if it's not done correctly. Identifying the site plans where you're going to be using erosion control fabric. There's notes on the erosion sediment control notes that they're going to be providing it in 3 mm slopes or greater. If you could just show that with some hatching on the plans, that'd be helpful.
Sure.
And then also the site plans need to be sealed by a professional engineer.
We don't see any issue with addressing those comments. But also, we would like to seek our preliminary final approval conditioned on addressing the engineering comments.
Okay. Let me go down through her other.
Absolutely.
So here's from the Department of Monroe County Department of Planning and Development. Coordinate with all their county departments as needed. They do know, one of their comments is the subject is parcel is located adjacent to the Lehigh Valley Trail. They'd like us as the board to consider the site relationship to the trail. I think your house is away from the trail entrance. Right, the other lot is right. Okay,
This house sits much further, there's a hill between the
Right.
trail and the house.
Yeah. Maps are submitted to real property for final filing. And then also the note on egg and market and limiting the amount of changes in drainage in the area. They know, according to our view of recent aerial photographs and and this was our note about the egg districts and the agricultural district, this project occurs on or within 500 feet of land in agricultural production in Monroe County's Eastern Agricultural District. Therefore, an agricultural data statement has been submitted for this project as required in section 283A of town law and article 25AA of the New York State Egg and Markets Law. A Monroe County agricultural data statement form can be found at their website. If an agricultural data statement form is necessary, the clerk of the board shall mail a written notice of the application to the owners listed on the agricultural data statement.
Yep, we submitted an agricultural
Okay.
statement.
Thank you. Monroe County Department of Health, they had a couple comments, but probably ones you're already aware of.
Correct, yep.
Okay. One was a backflow preventer. And then plans needed for the backflow preventer. And then also the review by Monroe County Department of Public Health. You're working with, you don't have to work with either the Monroe County DOT or the Environmental Services, but you are working with New York State DOT with respect to your
That's correct.
permit, driveway permits. Huh. Okay. I just, sorry. It says DOT does not concur with the subdivision plan and proposed access locations to Route 251. One shared driveway should be used for all three properties. All work within New York 251 right of way, including driveway and utility work, will require a New York State DOT highway work permit.
And we're pursuing that, but that was a county DOT comment.
No, that what happens is they get comments to Monroe County from New York State DOT.
Yes, we've submitted the application, we're working through that process currently.
So it sounds like what they want to do is keep one driveway entrance.
That would be difficult. From
It would.
An access perspective.
Well, and then you're talking easements because you'd have to be
Yeah, from a land title perspective, that would be
correct.
messy.
I thought the town was actually kind of trying to move away from the shared driveway. Am I accurate in that, Carl? Some of you guys have been around for a while, I thought.
Yes, but it's a
The
New York State DOT road. We don't really have jurisdiction over that.
think
That's
the
the
issue
problem.
with this one is you've already got 3 lots now. If you were subdividing 3 new lots, then they may be able to hold that to that standard. Since you have 3 separate lots now, 3 separate owners. It's gonna be hard to say that they can't have an entrance to the property.
Unless there's a site distance issue or something else, but.
But even then, you get the one lot. You can have a driveway cut all the way.
Yes, right,
Right,
yeah.
road from,
If they're gonna hold to that condition.
If they hold to it, they're not gonna give them a driveway, so it's gonna be something to deal with. Yeah, if the plan substantially changes from what you presented here. Understood.
to add a lane over there for a turnoff lane for each driveway. That'd be crazy.
I'm assuming that's what happened on 15A, just north of the hamlet. Shared driveway there. I did have one more thing on, there was a checkbox on the EAF about this is something historically significant. So I wonder, was there a letter needed from
I
SHPO?
think actually it was a building that popped up, right?
It was a building that
Yeah,
I believe to the
historic
southeast.
I know it said there's no,
Archaeological, the historic building.
yeah, no issue, but just by checking the box, do you need to get a letter from SHPO? saying-
If the archaeological check is yes, then they would want to see.
Okay,
something from them. If it's, if
But
they're
how-
not altering that historic building, then. Should be no.
Okay. just checking, thanks.
Okay. So then. We're not to conditions yet, so now let me go to our conservation board. So here are the conservation board comments. There are inaccuracies and inconsistencies on the forms regarding wetlands, forests, steep slope, and proximity to parkland, linear trail with bicycle and pedestrian routes. A mitigation plan is needed regarding the environmental features.
Unclear on what a mitigation plan would require.
Me
In
too.
this instance.
Mitigation to what?
I don't, well,
If I remember correctly, meeting, I believe that's because of the way the water is. As Chuck was talking about too, the water coming down, the way.
no, that's the next comment.
Oh, okay.
That's the next comment. This is. I think we've corrected the EAF form. Because I know sometimes we check no, but it should be checked yes. So I think though if that's inconsistencies that they're referring to.
Well, and this isn't really next to, I mean, it doesn't affect the linear trail. It's-
Right,
Yes,
and I don't know whether they're seeing this because the lot line alteration is part of the whole,
Potentially, yeah, our lot's the furthest from the Lehigh Trail.
right. So I think that's our answer on this right now is that the lot is not, this lot is not as near to the trail as the other lot.
In the proposed improvement, it's gonna be set back much further from the trail.
Correct. Correct. Okay. Serious issues with stormwater runoff and drainage, including applicant statement that drainage would stay within property boundaries. We would like to know how removal of trees and adding a driveway will likely worsen drainage issues near the road. I don't think you're removing trees.
We're trying not to, actually, that's how we positioned our driveway. Our runoff, our pre and post improvement runoff is directed through the same conveyance pathway. You know, there's gonna be 2 driveway swales coming through, but we can implement, settlement basins until that ground is stabilized. But I don't see functionally any disagreement with the existing runoff locations and where we're proposing. Well, I would say the southerly half of the property drains towards Rushmenden Road, and then the northerly section of the property goes towards the northwest.
Okay, so I guess like what we were talking about during construction, managing that runoff.
Yeah, we could take a closer look at the runoff, especially as it comes towards Rushmond Road. That's not a problem.
I mean, here's the thing, I'm gonna throw on my construction hat. Cause I think the big thing is that you show a lot of the temporary check dams. And the thing is to make sure that all that's in place. And that's the big thing, is making sure that it's utilized
Absolutely.
at the time.
And may have to remain. I mean,
Well, they're denoted as temporary check dams. I don't think he has anything in drainage that shows that,
right, understand.
that permanent check dams are needed to slow water down.
Yeah, our engineers that had developed that didn't call for permanent check dams, so they're just meant to be temporary during construction.
The driveway side swales are not deep enough for them to be permanent.
No.
They'll end up being plugged with sediment out of the washout driveway.
That's,
But you also said, just for clarification purposes, that they won't get the permit, they won't sign off from the Department.
Yeah,
DOT, if
DOT
there's
for-
more water that's coming onto the.
correct.
With the current stand, so they, that's gonna be part of the DOT approval anyway.
They're gonna review the drainage, probably a drainage report. For this driveway application.
Okay. And then their last comment is, we are noting that a historical home is adjacent to the property not mentioned by the applicant. I don't know if they're referring to,
That's what you guys just talked about, what they're talking about.
Yeah, with historic, well, I can't figure out which historic
I believe
building.
we noted that in our environmental assessment.
Yeah,
Did speak to that.
it was not on this property, correct?
No, I believe it was definitely to the east, might be to the northeast of the property, if I recall correctly. It was nowhere near.
Is it that older red farmhouse that's on the other side? Yeah, so it's to the west.
I believe.
Well, there's an old farmhouse to the west, just on the west side of the Lehigh Valley Trail.
yeah,
Cobblestone. I don't know. if-
no, it's a wood structure.
Yeah, but I
It's
think,
right on the curb and,
I think that's the structure they're referring to, so it's just directly to the west of it.
on the other side of the trail.
Yeah.
And that's me, Mark.
Oh,
That's you. That's right. Yeah.
This one right there.
I think they said that was the first part of the right there. That's cool. Yeah.
so that's,
See that?
so that's closer to the other lot that's
Correct.
not being developed. Okay.
Does anybody visit the property? And walk down,
I
That
didn't
part of
walk
the-
up, I didn't walk up the property.
that house wouldn't even be visible from the road. It's tucked behind the central line on the property. So really, it wouldn't be any disturbance. The only neighbor that would see would be the neighbor to the east, the neighbor to the north as the driveway looks around there. It's very secluded back there, which is why that location was selected.
For the one we're doing.
That's correct, yeah, the lot, what we call R2
Right.
subdivision.
Okay. All right. Do we have comments from others? Who's coming forward?
My name is Drew Bateman. I live at 2608 Rushmenden, which is just across the trail from this set of properties. I would like to first say that what Kelsey remarked on earlier, I second all of that. And I want to bring the attention on drainage back to this project. That site, with a new drive coming out, or even if it's not a new drive, it's still going to be pouring half of its lot with of water right into the culvert bed. The two center properties, or sorry, the center property and the eastern property come down to the road travel a little bit and then go under the road, and it looks to be a 12 or 14 inch plus. It has long been overflowing and everything. And I am very concerned that we're gonna see enough of an increase that will wash over the trail. And I already have a existing water issue where the whole road is draining across my drive. I'm very nervous that this will create yet more water volume that can traverse the trail and even come down Rushman Road right into my lot. So I would advocate that that is taken up by the board before approvals. Secondly, thank you very much for doing this.
Would you like me to respond to that? I would be happy to share our drainage calculations with the board with the town engineer to substantiate what we've developed, if that would be useful.
Well, I think it's gonna have, I can't speak for Brennan. I just, I'm sure DOT is gonna be looking at the drainage, the additional drainage.
Absolutely, yes. And we don't want to increase any issues. I mean, stormwater is super.
So I guess what I would ask you is, do you know what, does your drainage report show your existing condition as opposed to a build out condition?
Correct, yeah, so the pre and post improvement is our intent to decrease the runoff or match that. We wouldn't increase as it drains today.
I would default to DOT to review drainage. It's their system. They're the ones that are ultimately responsible for that 18-inch culvert that crosses the road.
Right.
And the condition of that. I do, I'm gonna say the town zoning works doesn't have anything specific to stormwater for each lot. I can't just pick out one particularly. If it says, hey, you've got to put a dry well in, or you've got to do an infiltration trench or something, exactly practice. And I think that DOT is responsible for the drainage system on the road.
Yeah, you got a 12-inch crossing the other driveway. So that's your limiting factor, but just the condition of the 18-inch crossing. I mean, you have inverts, but did anyone actually look down the pipe? Just make sure it was.
Sometimes, I mean, surveyors go out there with the shovel and do the best they can
Yeah.
do.
So
And it might be a bigger issue than just this project. I see that as a collective issue.
Yeah.
The adjustment state.
I was gonna suggest that, sir, you hound the DOT about cleaning the ditch and the culvert pipe, because that's
their job.
unfortunately, they don't do it anymore because they don't have enough staff or dollars to go clean ditches, but that's typically what happens is they get plugged up and then start backing out. But as a taxpayer, you can call the New York State DOT and hound them, and maybe you can get them out there to clean the ditch or the culvert.
As long as we're all thinking about that as we see the development.
Well, I think what they're stating though is right now they're stating that there's not an increase in.
Fundamentally, we can't increase further what's there today.
Right. All right.
So I would say, so as far as having a copy of the drainage study, would that be just to have a record of that?
Yeah.
You can request
Yeah,
that.
we want all the information, it's all there.
Yeah. Not that we're going to review it and act on it, but we just want it in the file.
Well, ultimately, it's not gonna get built unless DOT approves the drive.
And I could review it. Well, you're adding thousands of cubic feet per second to the right away. I'll definitely bring that up as a concern. I don't think that's the case.
And Karen, just a note, Rick Tracy did bring these two properties up to fire commissioners and they were fine with those.
Okay. With the distance from,
As far as I know, anything other than that, I will make sure that Rick, does review them.
We've reached that, Rick's the fire marshal?
Yeah.
Okay, we've reached out, we haven't heard back yet.
Okay, all right.
all right, any other comments?
Just a quick follow-up to the drainage discussion on this particular development. I hear the situation of the DOT being responsible for the driveway and the roadside ditches and the adjacent culverts that are there. But I want to urge this board to also pay attention to the fact that the DOT, as has been stated, may not have the manpower to assess those things or actually know current state. Are those systems being overwhelmed in even moderate rainfall, and maybe even getting images or photos from the flooding that the current residents are experiencing might help give that perspective. Because I really would hate to see them give a check mark without having the information to truly understand the current situation and how it's impacting those local residents. And to have you guys be able to have that, overview and say in what's happening in Rush. We're here every day. We drive past it every day, and just to give that perspective. So,
Well, they do, the DOT does maintain the roads and they do know what's happening on their state highways.
I have experience with Monroe County's DOT not understanding or knowing what's happening. So I'm just reflecting from my own experience as a resident where the administration that should be responsible for a local system doesn't seem to know. So I just want to speak on that behalf.
I know our town supervisor has met with DOT on drainage in general
Mhm.
for the town regarding some areas of concern.
Mhm. Good. Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. Just want to emphasize it and yeah, getting some of that local perspective from the people who experience it every day and in most of the rainstorms is helpful.
So I'll go back to, I used to work for DOT.
Mhm.
And I was in DOT in engineering. And so a lot of times we were aware of what was going on within areas of problem areas.
Mhm.
But the other thing that needs to happen too sometimes is property owners to reach out to DOT. So as long as people can be directed to the right avenue so that the information can get to the right people at DOT.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. Exactly. Collecting the evidence and putting it in front of the folks that you guys get that perspective. DOT gets that perspective. Everybody has equal playing field of the information. Exactly it. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments?
No. Think
I'm good.
everybody else good? All right, very good. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All right, Member Moise,
Aye.
Deputy Chairman Nast,
Aye.
Member Wilson.
Aye.
Member Wisniewski.
Aye.
And Chairperson.
Aye. Okay, so it seems like we have a lot of conditions.
We do, let me look through those. In particular, the drainage will provide additional information for that.
So Kevin, can we kind of review the additional conditions that we've all talked about?
Sounds like, at least as it relates to some of the drainage issues, a little associated with the driveway, with the temporary, runoff issues, those are covered in Park Engineering Select. Unless there's additional conditions. I think we wanted a condition that the town engineer would be provided with a copy of the the final drainage plan? Or what is the nomenclature that you want us to proceed?
The New York State DOT application, and all documents.
Copy of any and all materials provided to the New York State Department of Transportation.
Still perm 33.
Hmm.
Perm 33.
Okay, what other? I know we had talked about incorporation of the location of the improvements on the neighboring properties.
We also, Carl asked about having a driveway profile on the end of the,
Site plan.
on the site plan.
So I've got revisions to the flood site plan include the location of the improvements, the neighboring property, improvements to neighboring properties. The revision date to the plans and the driveway profile.
Yep. You need a code reference for the profile.
Profile with code reference.
100-6 B10.
Any other revisions to the plan itself? That you wanted to see?
Your letter mentioned the trees for light, headlight
That's,
screening and
no,
all.
I don't have anything.
So just how do we address that? A suggestion or a screening will be put in to screen from the neighboring.
Yeah, we've discussed that. We don't have an issue showing those plantings. Near where the driveway bends towards the residence.
So the applicant should provide landscape screening for adjacent property owners.
And that also actually falls under a code section too.
Okay.
You want that also?
If you've got it.
100-6 B24. Noise, light, nuisance to adjacent property.
And how would we, you say you're working with DOT, but if there's significant changes that DOT would want to the driveway,
Suggest a condition and approval on obtaining a DOT permit. Per the location shown on site plan dated October 2025. I have a revision date here of November 17th.
It would apply to any material deviations from that plan automatic.
that we would get updates.
It's not just the driveway, but it's any other aspects of the plans that are modified to it.
Any significant changes, driveway, house, septic.
Architect,
Oh,
It's for him to review
Yeah, good catch.
before he speaks. That was Brendan's.
that was in your letter.
Oh, that's true. That
Yes.
was his letter.
Got it. Just wanna- I'm trying not to be repetitive. It's already in the letter, but it's something in addition to, I'll make sure that.
all right. So I'll read through the resolution and Kevin, you can read through the conditions. All right, resolution for subdivision and we're calling it subdivision because of the lot line adjustments.
That's way it was capped. It's site plan, but I mean, I was just trying to keep the caption consistent with the applications, yes.
Okay. Just,
I can clarify the lot line adjustment instead of making.
yeah, I mean, it just.
Yep.
I know it's simple, but
It is a resub.
I don't know which is first.
Towns refer to it as lot line adjustments or change of lot line commonly, but from a title. county filing
It's
perspective,
a subdivision.
There'll all be subdivision, like Phelps Farm purchase, right?
Depends how far down the rabbit hole you want to go.
I know, I'm sorry.
I like change of lot. Practical.
I mean, it makes more sense.
Whatever however you say it, I will. Whatever you prefer.
No, I just want it to be understandable by everybody, that's all.
Okay.
I think we've been calling it lot line adjustments, right?
Yeah.
Is that what we've been saying? Or have you been, or lot line alteration? I'm sorry, I'm done.
We're consistent, but we.
This would technically. be
We're the day before, the night before Thanksgiving, and all I'm thinking about is,
Lot lines.
you know, 20 people come into my house, so I'm sorry.
It would be a re-subdivision of lots 1, 2, and 3 of the Bailey homes. So
Oh, there. All right,
that's how it's gonna be filed with the county clerk's office.
is that how it's been? Okay, well then that's what we'll call it.
Okay.
Okay. Let me move forward now. Okay, sorry.
Better, we're all coming to turkey dinner to your house.
Loaves and fishes. Whereas the planning board of the town of Rush, the planning board has examined application 2025-13P for the Bailey Cone subdivision of 2670 Rush Mendon Road, tax map number 213.01-1-15.3, submitted by McMahon LaRue Engineers and Surveyors on behalf of Stephen Bailey, the applicant, the owner of 2670 Rush Mendon Road, Honeyway Falls, New York 14472, the property. And whereas the planning board has examined the documents, maps, and other materials filed with the application, including the environmental assessment form, and all having reviewed this proposed subdivision map, site plan, environmental reports, comments, and reports from town professional staff, the public, and other interested and involved agencies associated with the application, including Monroe County Planning and Development. And whereas a public hearing on the application was held on November 25th, 2025 for receipt of written comments, and notice was posted as required by law. And whereas all persons at the hearing desiring to speak on the matter were heard, all correspondence on the matter was read, and all comments and statements that were received during the public hearing and or at other duly held meetings of the planning board were considered by the planning board. And now therefore be it resolved that the planning board has determined that it is the most appropriate agency for making the determination of significance thereon under seeker, and is therefore the appropriate lead agency to conduct an environmental review of the action. The planning board determines that this is a type 2 action under seeker, requiring no further action or a determination of significance by the planning board. It is further resolved that in accordance with the requirements of New York Town Law in chapters of 100-27 and 120-69B of the Code of the Town of Rush, the planning board grants final approval of the proposed subdivision and site plans subject to the following conditions. The applicant shall obtain approval signatures of the town engineer and the Rush Planning Board chairperson as needed prior to filing with the Monroe County Clerk's Office. The applicant shall obtain all other necessary local, state, and federal permits and approvals required for the project. That's where our highway permit falls. The applicant shall meet all requirements of the town engineer as indicated in the town engineer's letter dated November 17th, 2025. The applicant shall meet all the applicable conditions in the Monroe County Department of Planning and Development letter dated October 29th, 2025.
The applicant shall revise the site plan and incorporate the location of the improvements on the neighboring property, the revision date of plans, and the driveway profile pursuant to Town Code 100-6, subsection B10. The applicant should provide landscape screening for the adjacent property owner to the east in accordance with town code section 100-6-B.4. The application to revise the EAF to reflect both the residential and agricultural nature of the property. The applicant shall provide the town engineer with a copy of the application and any supporting materials provided to New York State Department of Transportation. In accordance with this application, this site plan application. Were there any other conditions that anybody can think of that I missed?
No. All right, can I have a motion for approval of the site? Okay. Tell me how we're wording this.
Sure.
Lot line alteration.
Re-subdivision was the title that
Okay.
was going into the.
A re-subdivision and site plan approval pending all the conditions noted on the resolution.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
All right, Member Moise.
Aye.
Deputy Chairman Ness.
Aye.
Member Wolcott.
Aye.
Member Wisnowski.
Aye.
Chairperson Brown.
Aye,
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good luck.
Now the fun begins.
We knew that.
Yeah, I
No
know.
business?
Yeah, new business. Yeah, we got.
I don't know if you.
No. I usually put them back together, but them.
That's what I know to do. Usually, I'm so used to taking them.
All right, so we got, under new business, we just have one application, which we will be doing in,
Excuse me, guys. They got one more later.
You got it.
Sorry.
sorry, thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. Good to see you.
So this is for 2025-14P Cox Engineering for Jeremy Robinson, new site plan application 175 Works Road, tax map number 22004-1-26.1, Scott Strux.
Oh, really?
Isn't it?
It was.
Yeah, that's his lot. He
It does still say on the. plan.
Says Scott.
It's-
No, now we're following.
So Marjorie, you sent comments to them.
I did. I just did on Thursday of last week.
That's
Yeah,
So I am awaiting response from them, but I did tell them that December planning board meeting will be canceled. And it will be a public hearing. Did not hear any.
Running.
so this will come up in January, right, Marjorie?
Yes. Dan, I didn't-
Yeah.
All right, does anybody have any questions on it? If not, I'm gonna make a motion that we adjourn the meeting. Are you guys,
I'll second your motion.
Okay. Member Wise,
Aye.
Deputy Chairman Ness,
Aye.
Member Wolcott,
Uh,
Member Wisnowski, Chairperson Brown.
aye.